Greetings, Ian from RTO here. Welcome to another battle of the debuts. This is where we take two bands and their debut albums, pit them against each other and see who did a better job. And as usual, I have my opinion, but you guys get to have your say and pick the albums that you think are the better. So today we are going for two giants, both from the 60s and both still perform today. We're talking about the Rolling Stones and the Who. Two great bands. That both their debut albums are very similar in structure and how they put them together. So, as always, we always look at the first album that came out first, and today it'll be the Rolling Stones. Obviously we know lots about them, formed in 1962. They're still going at the moment, but I don't know what the future is after the sad death of Charlie Watts. I've seen them, great band. So their debut album, just called the Rolling Stones. This is the UK edition. I'm not going into the American one here. But the Rolling Stones was released on the 16th of April 1964. It was recorded at the Regent Sound Studios in January and February 1964, and it took 5 days. It was produced by their managers Andrew Lou Oldham and Eric Easton. It was released on the Decca Records, and then when the US version appeared, it was on the London Records label. The majority of the tracks reflect the band's love for rhythm and blues. There is a couple of tracks on here written by themselves, and there is 2 songs actually credited to Nanka Pledge, which is a pseudonym for the band. That's basically the name. Got all 4 of them wrote it with Phil Spector. Gene Pitney came in, and there's a song called Uncle Phil and Uncle Gene. So there's quite a lot of people play on this. So who plays on it? Well, we've got Mick Jagger, of course, on lead vocals, backing vocals, harmonica. Keith Richards, electric guitars and acoustic guitars. Brian Jones on guitars and harmonicas. Bill Wyman on the bass. Charlie Watts on the drums. Then we have Ian Stewart on the piano on a couple of the tracks. Gene Pitney plays on piano on another track. We've got Phil Spector on maracas, Graham Nash on backing vocals, and Alan Clark on backing vocals. Okay, first track on the album is a cover, and it's Route 66. First recorded by the Nat King Cole with the King Creole Trio back in 1946. The Stones version, of course, is totally different. I like this jazzy sort of thing in rock and roll. It's really good. Really good version of it. Second track, again, is another cover, and it's I Just Want to Make Love to You. A blues song written by Willie Dixon. Muddy Waters recorded it, but the most famous version is Etta James's. But I'm not very keen on the Stones version of it. Next track, again, we have got a cover, and it's Honest I Do. It's a Jimmy Reed number. It was released in 1957. Both versions, I like this version. It's as good as Jimmy Reed's. Love it. Good track. Then we get Mona, written by Alas McDaniel, known to most of us as Bo Diddley. The Stones version is good, and it's not a bad version. Then we got this track by Nanka Pledge, I've Now Got a Witness. So it's the first original track on here. It's a nice little bluesy number. I love the start. The keyboards in this is to Brian Stewart. The harmonica duties are Brian Jones. And it's got a really nice little guitar solo from Keith. Then we get Little by Little. Again, this is credited to Nanka Pledge. Really good. The harmonicas on here is pretty good, and a good little solo from Keith. Side 2 starts off with a track called I Am King B. Now this is a swamp blues song, first recorded in 1957 by Slim Harpo. Not much different between these two versions. It's an old great blues song, and it is very, very good. Then we get Carol. Obviously it's a Chuck Berry number. They don't do a bad version of this, but I always prefer Chuck's. Status Quo have done a version of this as well. Believe it or not, off the Never Too Late album. Then we get the first track written by Mick and Keith. It's called Tell Me You're Coming Back. It's not too bad. Again, I like the music. It's very 60s, of course. Now then we get another cover track. It's called Can I Get a Witness? Now this is a song written by Brian Holland and Lamont Dozier. It was first a hit for Marvin Gaye in 1963. I think this is a better version than Marvin Gaye's, actually. It's really good. Next track. You Can Make It If You Try. A song written by Ted Jarrett, recorded by Gene Allison in 1957. The original version is jazz, but this is a more bluesy rock version, and I prefer this version. It's really good. And the last track is called Walking the Dog, which was a song written by Rufus Thomas in 1963. It's not a bad version, but of course I think the original is the best version. So that's the album. What do I think of it? I think it's a really strong album. You know, you can tell their roots in the rhythm and blues, and the tracks they chose are not tracks that a lot of people would think about choosing. One or two of their songs are better than the originals, but some of their covers are pretty weak and not as good as the originals. But saying that, it is a really good listen, and I do put it on now and again. And as usual, the critics has not much written about this. I did find something that was included in Robert Dimery's 1001 albums you must hear before you die, and it's a testament to the group's brilliance that the result was still the best album to emerge from the early 1960s. The ensemble lovingly delivers some of their favourite shots of rhythm and blues, and it was also voted number 418 in Colin Larkin's all-time 1000 albums. When it came out in the charts, it got to number 2 in Germany, number 1 here in the UK, and when it was finally put out in the US, it got to number 11. Let's have a look at the nuts and bolts of this one. So, song quality. There's some really good songs on here. The tracks they chose to cover are the ones that only if you're really into your blues you would know. The ones they wrote, they're not bad actually. You know, this is a young band, and I think they did a sterling job. So I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. Production. You got to remember when this was recorded back in 1964, and they did it over 5 days, which is incredible really, how long people take to make albums now. You listen to it now and it's still got a nice sound to it, clear. So I'm going to give production 4 out of 5. Reception, I think it went down really well. It really went down well in the UK. It got to #1. Germany loved it. And when they broke America, to get your first debut album in America to come in at a number 11, that's pretty awesome. Okay, there was a change of songs on it, but it doesn't matter. They broke into the American market very early in their careers. So I'm going to give Reception a 5 out of 5. Cover design. It's the band. I actually think the American sort of version's a little bit better than this, because this is a little bit dark. They're sort of hiding in the shadows. I think if it had been a more bold one, I think it would have been, I would have gone another extra mark. So I'm going to give cover design 4 out of 5. So that gives us a grand total for the Rolling Stones of 17 out of 20, which is a very strong score. So let's move on to the next contender, and that is, of course, The Who. The Who, of course, formed in 1964 of Roger Daltrey, Pete Townsend, John Entwistle, and the mad and brilliant Keith Moon. They're one of the most influential bands of the 20th century, sold over 1 million records worldwide. Roger and Peter are still out there doing it. Sadly, we've lost Keith and John. So, My Generation was their debut album, and it was released on December the 3rd, 1965, by Brunswick Records in the UK, and Decca released it in America as The Who Sings My Generation with a different cover. So, who is on this fab album? Well, we've got, of course, lead vocals Mr. Roger Daltrey, Pete Townsend on guitars, John Entwistle on the bass, Keith Moon on the drums, additional musicians. I always call him, this chap, the 5th member of Who, Nicky Hopkins. The Ivy League do some backing vocals. Perry Ford plays piano. Jimmy Page, no yet less, plays the lead guitar on Bald Headed Woman. And the producer was Shel Tammy. First track is Out on the Street. Little rock and roll number here. Some great riffs from Pete Townsend. And then you've got that lovely bass from John Entwistle. Pretty good track. I love that track. Then we get I Don't Mind. James Brown number, of course. It's a great version of this. Still prefer James Brown's version, but The Who do a good version of it. The Good's Gone. Love Peter's guitar in this. Really good. And then again, more great bass line from Mr. Entwistle. Then we get La 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 Lies. I actually liked Nicky Hopkins' contribution on that. Really good. Touch Too Much. Much Too Much, sorry. It's one of the worst songs that Who ever recorded. It's horrible. It's just, the harmonies are horrible. And then we get My Generation, a classic song. It's one of them tracks. I love it, but if I never hear it again, won't bother me because it is overplayed now. The Kids Are All Right, another classic. Not played so much as My Generation, but it's still a good track. Then we get Please, Please, Please. It's James Brown again. I'm sorry, there's only one person can sing that. That's James Brown. It's Not True. Not a bad song. Very mediocre, really. I'm a Man, Bo Diddley. Not a bad version of Bo Diddley's version. But prefer the original. A Legal Matter. It's not a bad song. We've got vocals from Pete Townsend on here. Pretty good. And then the last track, which is one of my favourites, is The Ox. Two reasons. Brilliant bass playing from John Entwistle, and one hell of a drum performance by Keith Moon. When you hear that, you can imagine him how he used to play. It was like an octopus when he played. It's a great track. One of the deep cut tracks off this album. Okay, what do I think of this one? Like most legendary bands of this time, you know, there's always that mixture of covers and a few of their own. They're still sort of very young and looking to find their place in rock. It's a pretty decent album. The potential was there. There's already a couple of classics on this, of course. You know, then we're going in the right direction. Now, there's not many reviews on this at all. In fact, I didn't find one as such, but I did find what that was rated. All Music gave it 5 stars. The Great Rock and Roll Discography gave it a 7 out of 10. The Guardian 4 out of 5 stars. Louder Sound 4 out of 5. Music Hound Rock gave it a 3 out of 5. Pop Matters gave it a 9 out of 10. Rolling Stone 4 out of 5. That's unusual for them. The Rolling Stone Album Guide gave it 5 stars out of 5. Wow. Sputnik Music gave it a 4.5 out of 5, and Tom Hull on the Web gave it a B+. When it came out here in the UK, it got to number 5 in the charts. Didn't really break America. Took them a little while to break America, and this has got a gold certification as well in the UK. So let's have a look at the nuts and bolts of this. Song quality. Oh, some of the covers are not very good, I'm afraid. I don't like them as much as I do the Stones covers. Their own songs are pretty good. So I'm going to give that a 4 out of 5. Production. The production on it is, some of it's a bit groggy in places. I don't think they have the same clarity as on the Stones. Some of the tracks sound alright, some of them sound a bit muffled in places. Even though they're recorded in mono, the Stones sounded a little bit better. So I'm going to give production a 3 out of 5. Reception. The only place it really charted was the UK. Did well. Everyone loves it. It's got a gold certificate. It produced 2 classics. So I'm going to give Reception a 4 out of 5. Cover design. I love this cover. It's bold, it's colourful, it's got the band on it. My Generation cover is excellent, and I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. So for My Generation by The Who gives us a total of 16. So if you go by the scores, Rolling Stones win today. But when it comes down to it, I love these albums equally. And today I'm not going to put one as a winner. I'm calling this a draw in my eyes, because even though the production on the Who album's not as good as the Rolling Stones, they're still great albums and they have stood the test of time. So today I'm actually going to hand this one over to you guys to choose, because I don't want to because I can't actually. So I'll put the poll up in the community or just put it in your comments below, wherever you watch it from, either Twitter or Facebook, or actually on the channel itself. There'll be a little poll tonight on the live stream, of course. So there we go. I'll be back later though. We've got album artwork today, and we're going to look at the album artwork of Blue Oyster Cult. I'm only doing their studio albums and live albums because they've released so many compilations over the years. It's unreal. So I'll be back for that, and don't forget tonight, folks, at 8 p.m. British Summer Time, it is the live stream. So I will see you all later. Bye for now.